everyone, and welcome to the Contingency Plan Podcast. My name is Jedi Master Dave, and with me, as always, is Darth Austin.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, books. Books and books and books. This is is this our second book in a row or third book in a row? What have we been doing?
Has it been 3 weeks since our retrospective of Kenobi?
This would be our
books.
third book in a row because we did Shadows of the Sith,
Yeah.
Shadow of the Sith, and then we did The Last Desperate Mission. So yeah, third book in a row.
Yes, and
Nobody's listening.
And this is like maybe a quarter the length of the Sith book. So.
Yeah. If you listen to the abridged Audible.
Yeah, because this is actually a 620-page book originally, but
Yeah.
I don't know how well you could translate that to time, but it only ended up being like a 3-hour book, so.
No doubt. So, and for those of you at home who haven't read the title, shame on you.
Yeah.
We're going to discuss New Jedi Order Star by Star.
Troy Denning.
Yes, Troy Denning. We don't know that guy.
Not at all.
Never heard of him.
Not at all. Except for things that we didn't read yet.
Oh, look, folks. So, yeah, we're going to be getting into a little bit of legends today. New Jedi Order is what the podcast was started on, and we periodically dive back in here. We're kind of in the juicier part, I feel, of the story. That's my opinion of it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Star by Star is kind of where I start to get interested, like really interested in the series.
Yeah, I think for this book, it's basically that moment where everyone is hooked or they're just pissed and they stop reading.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll have some stuff in there to talk about.
And I'm pissed. I'm never reading these books again. No, I'm kidding.
I don't believe that. But yeah, we're getting very close to Andor. You know, if we were one of those, reactionary things, I'm sure we could have made up a bunch of stories about all the current stuff that's coming out, right? Star Wars news. Should we start doing that for clicks?
Oh my God. I don't know if my soul could handle it. It might just kill it. I couldn't do reactionary and all that stuff. I mean, more power to those that do all that stuff, but I don't have the desire to be that on top of things with Star Wars news or any type of news, really.
We tried to do that for a while. I think that this might be either episode 196 or 197. It might be 197 of the main show, because there's more. We're over 200 total episodes, but a couple of those were partial episodes that I did when I was just doing comics, like on Wednesdays. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, we could just stop what we're doing and just do reactionary stuff. That'd be fun, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, let's just throw a huge party for our 200th main episode and then just stop. Just stop.
The countdown is on. Oh, boy.
We aren't even going to get to Andor.
Nah, we'll definitely get to Andor. Yeah, I mean, we don't really talk about news, but I suppose I did just want to vaguely... I don't even know if I really want to talk about this sort of stuff, but like I know because you have always been a little bit more in the games. Knights of the Old Republic has been paused, and Eclipse has been in trouble ever since whatever the controversy was with that studio exec. I think we talked about that a while ago.
We did. Honestly, I forgot about Eclipse. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah. So I don't... I will say this. Knights of the Old Republic, a remake, is probably one of the biggest things that people want. I would say, aside from the new not Fallen Order. What's
Survivor.
the new time? Survivor, yeah. But, and it's always been so beloved, but I don't know, man. I'll tell you, there has to be a change, I think, in the way Disney looks at gaming. Because the constant partnership with like EA, DICE, all this other stuff, it's like, can you pick a studio that doesn't suck? Or that doesn't have just some stupid crap going on? Like, can you maybe like just like, I don't know, dude, like,
Make your own studio.
hey, it's like, I don't know, who's a good studio nowadays? I don't even know many studios anymore. It's like, hey, Naughty Dog, can you just take over? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Anything that doesn't have to do with like EA, DICE, the people who own GTA and Rockstar and all that. So anybody but that. Let's get the guys that made God of War to make the next Star Wars. That wouldn't be that bad. That'd probably be awesome.
Who makes God of War?
Let me check.
Yeah, it's not like I'm also not in front of a... what studio makes Santa Monica Studio? Of course, there's supposed to be a new...
Interactive.
There's supposed to be a new God of War, too, right?
Yeah, Ragnarok. They're going Norse mythology now.
Interesting.
Kind of want to just get a PlayStation for that game, to be honest. I was like God of War growing up.
Yeah, good game. The last one was looked pretty good. Kratos with an axe.
Yeah. Oh, so they're the guys that made like the Twisted Metal series and all of the God of War, not just this one.
I don't know. Star Wars has a game problem. You know, it just... I don't know what you're supposed to do with that. I really don't. But hey, that's not really necessarily my big jam.
It would just be nice if they got a little better organized and actually plan things out a little bit more before announcing them. Be really nice.
Yeah, and like, not to be too picky, but we've been pretty picky lately, especially with like the Kenobi series, you know, and how unpolished it was. I don't know, man. I've said that that like ILM is kind of feels behind the times. I'm wondering if Disney in general is starting to get behind the times, because it's different putting out like animated stuff. Live action's different.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, Disney and gaming. What do you want? You want to go play Kingdom Hearts a few more times? Oh, sounds fun, right?
Or Final Fantasy and whatnot.
There's a new Final Fantasy coming out too, isn't there?
Yeah, there's 2 of them actually.
Never
16.
got into those. I know a lot of people love them. Never got into it. The story just seems really hokey now.
I played a little bit of 7 and 15. That was about it. Apparently 7's like a 2-part drop. I didn't realize they didn't release the entire game when it came out. They're still making it.
Oh.
Which is kind of weird. I know it's a huge game. It was like a 2 or 3 disc game back then, but yeah, it's like a 2-part game.
Yeah, I'll just not.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get why they don't see the potential in video games. I mean,
Well, I think
they already make a decent amount of money off all the Lego stuff like Marvel and whatnot, so I don't see why they wouldn't just double down on it.
I mean, I think they do see the potential. I just don't think that they pick the right studios to do this stuff. And I'm not saying that the studio that was supposed to take this over might have done a good job. I don't know anything about them. I just know that now it's being put on hold because there's probably some bull crap. And that honestly has been it's been exposed here recently a lot more, like with Blizzard, all their internal issues, and so forth, the toxic environments that a lot of those gaming companies have. Mm-hmm. And it's funny. It's funny because, you know, these games are supposed to be, they're fun. They're supposed to be an escapism. They're supposed to capture your imagination, make you think, make you play, keep your mind active, waste time, whatever. But by God, some of these studios suck. I mean, it's not that, and I'm not talking about like their quality. I'm just talking about them as people. They suck.
Yeah. Well, the culture around game development's always been kind of crappy, but it definitely seems like you're seeing a lot more bubble up to the surface now with just internal abuse with employees and forcing people to work like 90 to 100 hours a week and whatnot.
What's unrealistic deadlines?
Yeah.
You know, it's
a good game
unrealistic
now,
expectation.
to be fair to the employees, unless you just hired twice as many people, a good game should take like 5, 6, 7 years now to make.
Well,
Not these like 2-3 year windows. And sometimes you can just kind of get into development hell with that, where you kind of lose the point of the game because you've been developing it so long. I mean, look at Elder Scrolls. For God's sakes, that's been 10 years and we're still waiting on 6.
2011 for Skyrim.
Yep.
And still huge modding community. They've at least let people do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say this. Does a game need 5 years to complete? Honestly.
Depends on the game and if you already have the framework, like if it's a sequel and you kind of have everything already built around the skeleton of it. No, not necessarily. Just seems like things are more difficult to make now.
Yeah, and I'm not in any of these places, but like I do work in a large corporate structure and I see how things can grind to a halt. But it just seems like it shouldn't take as long. It shouldn't be quite as complicated as it is.
Mm-hmm.
But because I know people have still been waiting, like with Skyrim, GTA. When's a new GTA? Everybody's still running on old GTA, all the RP servers, all that stuff. What is it, 5? GTA 5?
Yeah.
So
I think GTA 6 and Elder Scrolls 6 just recently got announced that they're in development. I mean, granted, they might have already been in development for a while, but it's like, well, yeah, I kind of thought so. But I was hoping by now.
Well, you also have like, you know, Elden Ring. Elden Ring was a huge release.
Mm-hmm.
That game is, it's, I mean, it's like Skyrim. Well, I think it looks bigger than Skyrim, which is saying something.
Yeah,
And
visually impressive game.
There's still stuff in there that's unfinished. It's
Yeah.
like, how much do you need? You know what? It's like make a game. Like split this game up. You know?
Yeah, make a trilogy or a sequel to it or a prequel to it or something.
Yeah, I just feel like Elden Ring, the way it was, like, my God, this game could be 3 or 4 games. Like, why does it have to be quite this big? Now, granted, I'm not knocking. I know people love that, but it's like, you know, when you when you set these expectations, man, eventually you're not going to be able to meet them.
Yeah, and I think that really causes a barrier to entry for a lot of people too. I mean, obviously there's a demographic of people who are going to commit a lot of time to gaming. I used to be one of those people, but the fabled 100-hour video game, to me right now, I mean, that it basically guarantees I'm not going to buy it because I know I'll never finish it and it's a waste of money. I can't even contemplate like starting Skyrim over again or finish. I've only played like half of Elden Ring, and that was one I really anticipated. And now I'd have to start over to really get back into it, so I really don't see finishing that. I've been listening to a lot of just kind of retrospective and commentary of some of the old games we played growing up, like Ratchet and Clank, Jak and Daxter, Sly Cooper, God of War, all that. And, you know, there's something about a good, tight, well-written 15-hour game, 10 to 15-hour game. And I think that's something that's just a dying art. You know, you have games like It Takes Two or A Way Out, I think was another game from the same developer, both co-op based, just story-based games that, take about 10, 15 hours, and they're really well received, but no one seems to want to make those kind of games anymore.
Yeah. I don't know, man, but all I know is this is not a video game podcast.
It's not.
So anyway, how was your week?
Not too bad.
Smooth transitions.
Not too bad, just brooding over video games and whatnot. And no, pretty uneventful. I gave myself permission this weekend to do literally nothing. I got my schoolwork all done last week early, kind of got ahead, and I just sat around and did next to nothing all weekend. Had a few drinks and played some retro Genesis games with some family on her side. They had built like one of those little retro Pi gaming emulators, so I played some Lethal Enforcers without gun cons and all kinds of stuff we grew up playing. But no, other than that, not a whole lot going on this week so far. What about you?
Yeah, not a ton either. Just, pretty standard-ish work week. Yeah. Nothing major to talk about, I don't think. I don't even think really didn't do much this weekend. Girlfriend was sick. So yeah, it was a pretty chill weekend. And then yeah, past couple days, not a ton. Just doing stuff, and it's restaurant week. I think this week is restaurant week. It's twice a year. And I don't remember if it extends through next week or just a weekend. Anyway, so we're going to a Brazilian steakhouse.
That'll be good.
Downtown. And yeah, it's one of the, I think a lot of people, it's the best one of the kind of two main ones that are in town. So we're going to go have a meat coma.
Awesome.
And then, yeah, that's really about it.
That'd be a good time.
It should be.
Right on.
Yeah, it should be pretty good. Pretty good.
Hey, so for any of those that actually want to take the time to look through Wikipedia for this book, I was just kind of scrolling through the alternate art for the book, just the cover gallery. There's a poster that came with the Japanese releases of the book. I kind of like the Japanese release better because it's got a full-sized Voxen on the cover. It's actually pretty awesome. Nice. Got Anakin with his purple saber. I might have to try and download this poster and see what I can do with that. It'd be pretty cool.
Wow.
I need more art and posters.
Illegally downloading. Got it.
It's from Wikipedia. It's definitely not illegal at all.
Right.
It's on the internet. It's allowed.
Okay. All right. Hey, you want to know my new, like, not obsession, but thing that I want to get into now because I watched it on YouTube because it was suggested for me. I'm easily influenced.
Don't do it. You'll spend money.
Oh, guaranteed. So I was flicking through, and you ever seen those videos where they service automatic watches?
No.
So they take it apart and they clean it and they put it back together and you see all the stuff move.
Right.
So I've never been much of a watch person. I've never been a jewelry person. I did have a mechanical watch at one point, automatic, no battery. And years ago, but I barely ever wore it and I sold it. So I see this YouTube channel. It's like Nico Leonard. He's like a dude from Amsterdam who has like a watch, like a jewelry store in Belfast, Ireland. And he just yells at people's watches on YouTube. He's like Gordon Ramsay, but for watches. And so I've been watching a lot of this. No pun intended. Anyway, watching. Crickets, got it. But yeah, I was like, dude, I want a watch. I want like a nice mechanical watch now.
Totally looking him up. I'm gonna.
It's hilarious.
Regrettably get into this, I'm sure.
I don't know what it is about it, but it is kind of entertaining, and he's like really knowledgeable about watches too, like high-end watches and so forth. And I'm not like one of those people who can afford to buy high-end watches. Like, you know, you're not going to see me with a Rolex or anything like that, or you know, an AP or any of those.
Why not? It's an investment.
Well, sometimes it can be, though. That's the thing. It just all depends on if you know what you're talking about and you get it at a good price. But I've looked at, like,
it's an investment that you're carrying around at all times and potentially damaging. That's the only thing that gets me.
Yeah, I just think it's cool because I love the mechanical aspect of it. And have you ever seen the boxes you buy to like keep them in motion so they're always working? Because the whole thing is they work with motion. Right. So when they stop moving, eventually it runs out of juice and it stops running.
Right.
So they have watch boxes that move them.
Really?
Yeah. So they just move them around so they never lose power. It's like classic cars. They put them on those trickle chargers. Mm-hmm. Same thing. It's just for watches. I was like, well, that's freaking sweet. So
that's pretty cool.
So I've eyed out a couple of them, like in, you know, lower price points. Hamilton was an American company at one point. Now they're in Switzerland, but a lot of their stuff is like, you know, 5,000 or 500 to like $1,000. Mm-hmm. I've looked at one of those. It's like, oh, that's pretty sexy. You know, Seiko's a Japanese company. I think they're Japanese. Pretty sure they're a Japanese company, but they make some really nice stuff. There's obviously like Grand Seiko, which is like their fancies. But hey, you never know, man. Start a watch collection. It'll be fun.
I'm going to regret looking at this channel.
Dude, you're going to regret it. Next week, you're going to be like, so when are we watch shop? When are we going watch shopping? But, you know, the wildest thing is you can't just go into a store and just be like, hey, I want to buy a Rolex. You just can't do it.
That's not a thing anymore?
No, you can't. It's like legitimately one of those deals where you go in, it's like, I want to buy a Rolex. Well, no. But like if you buy some stuff, then, you know, maybe when we get one in, we'll let you know.
Oh, so it's that hard to get one.
Well, really? Apparently they're like serving out like a million Rolexes a year, and it doesn't even peak the demand. Like the demand's so high that they can't.
So they're
make
artificially
enough.
Keeping.
No, they're trying. They're literally trying to make as much.
It
seems like they're trying to make as much as they can. They just can't make enough. Like people are just snapping them up.
Wow.
I would love a Rolex. I think there's still, it might sound corny, but I still think that there's something about just owning like one Rolex. It sounds like a good thing to do. I don't know why. I can't quantify it, but it just seems like a sign that you made it to a certain thing. Yeah. Right. It's an affectation. It's fine.
It's not to like put worth on it. It's just, hey, I was able to do this and it didn't like break the bank for me. So I can be proud about that.
So anyway, at some point I'll probably wind up with, you know, something on the lower end just to say I have a mechanical watch in one of those fancy windy watch boxes, and then you'll have to get one, and then, you know, and then we'll just be Rolexing it in a few years. It'll be great. Then
we can take the boxes on little play dates. They can hang out together. And
we can show each other our watch collections. It'll be fun. So I really like this watch because of the bracelet attached to it. It's this type of chain link. It's really nice.
The watch box is $5,000. It's custom built.
Yeah,
in Sweden.
Yeah, you text me when you start watching some of this dude's videos, and and tell me what you think. It'll be. I'm gonna need a report next week on Nico Leonard and his freaking watch YouTube channel. It's fun.
I'm gonna start with his react video to famous movie scenes with watches in them.
He's like blasted a lot of like TikTokers with their fake watch. You remember those Island Boys?
Yeah.
Those idiots and their fake crap. Like, he hates blinged out watches because, I mean, the thing is, they're loaded with diamonds, but they're crap diamonds. It's like every diamond of quality should have a certification certificate with it. But if it doesn't, then it means it wasn't worth it. And those diamonds are trash diamonds, or they should have been sent to industrial use. You know what I mean?
Right.
So not every diamond's like a high class diamond. And most of those people, they basically just ruin the watch. So it's fun stuff. All right. So 25 minutes in, we've talked about nothing.
It's a 3-hour book. I think we can get it in time.
I'm just thinking about like that one guy years ago that complained on like the YouTube channel, 20 minutes and no Star Wars. That poor guy. We really upset him. So
I wonder if he's still mad at us, still watching, still disappointed.
He probably reported us. It's fine. Blocked us. All right, folks.
False
let's go
advertisement. He does not talk about Star Wars for the first 20 minutes.
That's true. All right, let's get into this book. So Star by Star, Troy Denning. And I wanted to read something here that I thought was funny when he was effectively going to write this book. So I'm gonna read this. This was from 2014. At the time we were negotiating this, Vector Prime still hadn't quite come out. So I finally get the contract, and a couple weeks after that, I get the story Bible, and I see that my friend Bob Salvatore is writing Vector Prime. And I'd been going through the plot, Point for All 21. It was 21 books at the time. We obviously know that some of those got canceled out. Going through the plot points, and I get to it where it reads, Chewbacca dies. So he calls him up. Oh, my God, you killed Chewbacca. You son of a... you killed him. And then Salvatore's like, you haven't finished reading the story Bible, have you? So I go back and read the story Bible, and I saw that for me, it was Anakin. It's quite a shock.
Mm-hmm.
So, the thing is like, we haven't really talked about this, but this series was planned out.
Kind of makes you wonder if the story Bible's a thing anymore.
I mean, I'm sure that they do something like that, but maybe not quite the way they did it then.
Like High Republic needs that.
Well, High Republic. Let's not talk about that right now. But yeah, anyway, I just thought it was kind of interesting, the back and forth. It's a cool little tidbit. But this series was pre-written, which is good. And that's the thing. A lot of people look at Legends and they say it was the Wild Wild West. But the thing is, a lot of these series were actually planned out. Like, it wasn't just like somebody bouncing off of the next person. They were planned. So it wasn't quite Wild Wild West. It just wasn't technically authorized by anybody in general.
Right. I mean, yes, you could say between one trilogy and another, or, saga, or at this point, 17 books.
Yeah.
Yes, there was some definite continuity issues, and they didn't really consider each other as much. But my God, what other medium has the volume of books to it that Star Wars does? It is kind of a pioneer in some way, and that even if George was actually approving everything, reading through everything, trying to check for any problems himself, that would still be a huge undertaking. Yeah. And there's just something about, if you can get past the continuity issues, it's something special that you just don't get from anything else. And I never minded it personally.
Yeah. Also want to read this as well. And this is just coming from the Wikipedia page. I just find it to be interesting, because these are things that I probably knew at one time but didn't really know or didn't really remember. So 97, 98, this sort of series was starting to become planned. And initially, and this was effectively like a concept from George Lucas, this series was supposed to kind of revolve around Anakin, and he would be corrupted by a dark side villain. Female villain. Oh, woman. And then that would lead to a confrontation with Jason and Jaina. And Jason would then be killed. And this would also be a conflict with the Sith species. Not
Really?
Sith, but the species of the Sith that we learn about in the Old Republic books, like Revan. So,
Interesting.
I'm not going to lie, that would have been pretty sick in a way. Personally, I actually think that this series should have revolved more around Anakin. And I think that, in a way, they made a huge mistake in this book. And just, I mean, we're already spoilers, getting in there. This book sacrifices Anakin.
One of the biggest things that ever happens in this series.
Yes.
Quite early on, too.
But what about Chewbacca? Look, we
I
all
don't
love
care
Chewie.
nearly as much about Chewie as I did Anakin. I am sorry, but I said it.
Well, Anakin is really he's really quite OP. Even the way he goes out in this book is pretty intense in and of itself. But they went beyond and then conceptualized this story to effectively make more of the primary character Jason, which of course then kind of changes up as well and transfers more to Jaina.
Yeah, and they even kind of tease a potential storyline that never comes to be in the form of, Jaina using dark side powers by the end of this book. So, I mean, this was right before a fork in the road, you can tell in story writing, I think, even up to the point of conceptualization, because, I mean, they could have gone any direction with this up to the point where they killed him and even after.
Yeah, and there's points in the story which make it such an interesting, as you basically said, fork in the road for the series as a whole, which is why right now is where I really start getting interested in the series. So there are a couple of really big things that happen here. Obviously, Anakin's probably the biggest, but I guess we just sort of start from the beginning where we have our two Twi'lek sisters who are being chased down by the Yuuzhan Vong. And we meet this creature, the Voxen, right?
Mm-hmm. That's how they pronounced it in the book.
Yeah. So the Voxen is effectively like a Jedi hunter and has killing goo.
Isn't the Voxen such a more interesting enemy than the High Republic beast
leveler
thing?
The great leveler.
Why'd you even remember that?
I don't remember anything. I'm just saying, like, yeah, you're right. It's definitely interesting because it's gruesome. It's pretty gruesome. It just doesn't turn you to stone. It burns you with like acid.
Yeah, the one thing that a lightsaber really can't defend against.
It burns you with acid.
Spread of the only thing that'd be better is if it just breathed fire.
But it's designed by the Yuuzhan Vong to specifically hunt and kill Jedi. It's a very interesting creature. You kind of wonder if the leveler might not have taken some inspiration, perhaps, from this creature.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, it's kind of a crazy thing. You throw it at the beginning of the book. One of the sisters is killed. The other one escapes. And we kind of start into the meat of this. And really, the primary motivation is we gots to kill the queen because this thing is nuts, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
I would say we don't even really deal with a lot of them throughout the book. It's almost the lack. It's the lack of fighting them that makes them more terrifying in a way.
Yep.
And it's kind of interesting. I mean, it's a cloned species. We only have one in this universe. Actually, says the average lifespan of them is only like 3 months in our universe.
Well, that's the funny thing is, like, as much as the Yuuzhan Vong like do all this non-technological creature-based society, most of their stuff doesn't live very long. like their ships and their world ship, because that was a big issue from the last book, is their world ships were starting to deteriorate.
Yeah, brains are just rotting away, basically.
Yeah, these things aren't built for longevity, and it's like, what would make you finally start to like question your religion? Maybe
Right.
that all of your stuff sucks. It doesn't live very long. And I will say this too, and this is where I'm like, Troy, my dude, he kind of made the Yuuzhan Vong a little less OP than they've been. Like, my God, how tough was it throughout the first half of the series to kill one Yuuzhan Vong? And now we're like, yeah, I just blasted a hole in that Yuuzhan Vong's head. And apparently I'm going in my Alex Jones voice, just blasted holes in these Yuuzhan Vong's head, and they're just dying all over the place. The Jedi are totally taking them out.
Yeah, it's like, you know that armor that kind of sucked for like 3 books?
Yeah.
We don't care about that anymore.
No, we don't care one little
We
bit.
mention it, but it's like we mention how there's a hole in it along with the Yuuzhan Vong.
Seriously, dude.
This one has a fist-sized hole. Well, this one has a crater through his chest.
No, seriously, it's crazy that we just boom these things up so big, and then now we're like, yeah, we can like kill them with like a blaster, man.
Yeah, or we're just like slitting throats like right and left, and they're falling on our lightsabers and stuff.
I don't know. It's kind of cool. I kind of like it personally because, you know, overly OP enemies, it's not quite the thing. And I will say this, like, they do steadily get weaker throughout the series, the Yuuzhan Vong.
Yeah. And Anakin is basically like the ultimate Yuuzhan Vong killing machine. So,
well, we saw his connection. He had one of their little crystal,
lambic crystal,
lambic crystals in
lightsabers.
his lightsaber. Like, Anakin has connected in a weird way to the Yuuzhan Vong in a way that no other Jedi has. And have we really exploited that much? Not really. And we're not going to either. But yeah, it could have been big. So anyway, we are going to try and kill this queen, the queen of the Voxen. And we enlist Lando. Lando's here.
Old scoundrel.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, you know, Leia, Han, Luke, they all make appearances, but they're very minor parts of these books. You know, we had our Han book, a couple of Han books, Leia books, Luke, obviously, Luke and Mara. They're very much in the background of this book. This book is definitely more the solo kids.
Yeah, Mara gets mentioned. It's like, yep, she's got a baby, and she's not in this book.
She got a baby.
She smells like talc,
Oh, God.
and she's not going to be in this book.
They really aren't. And you know what? That's okay. Like, I am okay
is.
with that because, like, sometimes it's nice to just flip it. And I'm a Jaina. What are they? Not a simp. No, I mean, I always have liked Jaina. Like, I love the character. Very nuanced character, as we see more in the end of this book. Jason is always kind of a little annoying, but like Anakin's great. So to get more of these, you know, these wonder kids is just pretty fantastic. So we get this plan coming together that Anakin proposes, by the way, to go and effectively call the Yuuzhan Vong's bluff. Because before this, we do get Nominor, who, under sort of a flag of truce, comes over and says, hey, we're going to kill this planet's people. Like,
And we almost throw him out of an airlock.
that would have been hilarious, honestly. Yeah, we're going to kill all these people if you don't, like, give up all the Jedi. The Jedi. It's like, learn how to say it right, guys. And so we get to see some anger from Leia. We get to see Han just doing Han things. He is honestly one of the most consistent characters.
Absolutely.
He's the same dude.
Yeah. You can always guess what him and Lando are going to do.
100%.
Really, no question. And I do love how, like, this is just Audible specific, but we get a little Vader music when Leia's threatening to send him out the airlock.
You know, that's actually something that we probably should talk about more. Which we do, I guess, the production of the actual audiobook. I think they did a really nice job in this. Despite it being abridged, the sound effects and the music usage I thought was really good.
Yeah, we get like some random screaming at the beginning with the Voxen and some like kind of cringy, but still like horror aspects for it. And it's very well done. The music's always great, but I think this one they put a little extra effort into, like they knew how important the book was.
Yeah, very true. So after the Nominor confrontation, we're going to call their bluff. We're going to go into their trap. We're going to allow ourselves to be caught. So this strike team consists of Anakin, Jaina, Jason. We've got Alma, Lobaka. Oh my God, I shouldn't be trying to read all these names. Why didn't you stop me? Tennille, Tahiri's back. Ganner's back. Huh?
Old Suzuki.
Yeah.
I mean, Tahiri.
Yeah. Some person named Taser. I'm sure that it's Tasir or something like that. Krosov. We've got the Russian contingent. Belahara. Ulaha Kor.
Ulaha.
Okay, I'm done. I don't want to read any more of these names. They suck. But we have a pretty stout contingent of Jedi here that are going to execute this plan, with Lando basically acting as an, in quotations, traitor. So they are captured. There's a lot of fighting. They're captured. There's fighting. They're captured. There's fighting. And then there's fighting.
Then everybody dies.
I don't remember everyone who died here, but most people did. Most of them did.
Well, we did get the warning at the beginning of the book that the casualty rate will be like, I don't know, 90% or something.
It's tough. Yeah, it's very tough. But anyway, so as we finally do get onto the planet, we actually encounter some Dark Jedi. Lomi Plo and Welk, who were members of the Shadow Academy, which I've never read about the Shadow Academy, but that's something we might want to explore later if we want a little bit more of, because I believe that was it Jay?
It was Jaina and Jason story.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure Lobaka was also captured at that point.
Yeah, they name like 5 or 6 Jedi that are captured. Lobaka was one of them.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in reading that book.
We'll have to do more of that. And then even then the Shadow Academy's attack on Yavin 4 and how that was driven off, and that's something we'll look at another time, but I definitely think that it was an interesting part of Legends lore, and yeah, we'll do some more on that later.
Yeah, absolutely.
But we find these 2 dark Jedi, which I don't know. Did they ever explain why they're there, or they're just there?
Nope, that must have been one of the things cut out with the abridging.
I don't think it was in general, because even in the summary that I'm reading, I don't really even see that it was necessarily explained. It could have been. I might be misremembering. But anyway, they agree to assist, and the killing technique from Lomi, this force net thing that just cubed the shaper. That was an interesting force
kind of made
ability.
me think of the original Resident Evil movie when they're in the little hallway.
God. Yeah. Gosh, yeah, that's right. Interesting. So these 2, though, they're not obviously really to be trusted, and they kind of do go off on their own as well once they realize that the Jedi don't have an escape plan.
Yeah, they like kidnap Lobaka at one point, and he somehow gets back. I don't think that's really explained that well either.
Yeah, well, again, it is what it is. So there is a lot of fighting, and really the climax here, I think, for a lot of people is going to be Anakin kind of holding off the storm for a bit, really drawing on all the Force energy that he can. I think it was interesting when they described some of the sensations he was feeling, almost that he was being devoured by the Force.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Becoming one without just dying instantly, essentially.
Yeah. And think about that. You know, Obi-Wan had to learn for years. Qui-Gon, Yoda, they all had to learn for years. I mean, Anakin Skywalker, you know, just OP, of course. But his namesake, Anakin Solo, through battle, through pain, through suffering, trying to protect his friends and his family, becomes one with the Force. I mean, I don't think that there's anything about like Anakin Force Ghost or anything like that, but there's something special about this kid. And it kind of sucks that they killed him.
I think they almost wrote themselves into a corner with how powerful he was.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to really give away anything moving forward, but I think you know what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
I don't think that certain enemies would have been very difficult for him to deal with, honestly, unless it would have just been a conflict of interest.
Sure.
So,
well, one of the big things here is that, like, in the battle, the Jedi weren't even really using their sabers much. It was a lot of like blasters and their rifles and stuff like that, which I found interesting. But they were just carving the Yuuzhan Vong up. I mean, really, it seems like a lot of why the Yuuzhan Vong were able to overtake him is it just had numbers.
yeah, I mean, and what it took for them to finally, for Anakin to have to give up like he did and sacrifice himself. I think it said in the book it was like 50 or 60 of them just pile into the room.
Yeah.
And he still manages to take out the majority of them in the process.
Exactly.
I mean, this is like Luke levels of Force ability. It
100%.
really is.
And he didn't turn to his hate. He didn't turn to the dark side either for any of this energy, which we'll talk about here in a second. So after Anakin is unfortunately killed, Jason is kind of in charge, and he goes off after the Voxen Queen. Has a little bit of trouble killing this thing, but finally is able to do that with the help of, what were we calling the bird lady? Vajiri,
something like that. I don't know. I can't remember exactly how they pronounce that name.
Yeah, I think I'm trying to be like Tajiri. No. Vajiri, something like that. Vajir. We have established that it is Force sensitive. And as we look through some of the history of the character, their species is Frosh, maybe Fosh, Frosh. Was a female Jedi Knight turned Sith in the waning years of the Galactic Republic. Former Padawan to Jedi Master Theresa Chow Lim. And disappeared, finding the Yuuzhan Vong on Zumana Sekot and secretly living with them for half a century.
Interesting.
So, Master Theresa Chow Lim. Good relationship with Jedi Council member Mace Windu. Interesting. So, yeah, we're talking quite a jump. So we're talking about, the wane of the, just the Galactic Republic before the Empire took over.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Interesting. Very interesting. Huh.
Did not. Yeah.
That's some deep stuff. I mean, again, like folks, we love getting to the details, but sure as heck aren't going to remember all this. So Vajiri effectively captures Jason towards the end of this. Jason's hurt anyway. And this kind of turns some stuffs.
Yeah.
That we're not going to talk about now. But we will.
Very soon. In
Eventually.
about 2 months.
Yeah. So it's not really a secret that Jason eventually turns to the dark side. That's not a secret.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it might have been a secret to some of you who haven't. He
Well,
turns.
you had 20 years. So.
Yeah. We've talked about it a couple times, but I think that like part of the interesting thing about Jason is he's very conscious of everything, but he is incapable of making a decision at times. And whereas Anakin was very much like Anakin Skywalker, Jaina is, I would almost categorize Jaina as more like Luke in a way. Maybe that's why I like her, because she's a little bit more like Luke.
Mm-hmm.
Jason is very much... How would I categorize Jason? Because Jason has hang-ups. He's almost a pacifist. Because there's portions in here where he's saying, so why should the Jedi potentially risk an entire planet? Why? Because he was effectively advocating for the Jedi to surrender, which would mean their death. And then what's to stop the Yuuzhan Vong from destroying the planet that they threaten to destroy anyway? What would they care? They're here for war, man. Some of his hang-ups are just a bit ridiculous when you think about it.
Yeah, and I haven't really read much else of the twins, so I don't know where he's coming from with this. Maybe it's explained more in some of the other books, but it almost feels way too forced, if that makes sense. I mean, it just it's not a matter of development. It's just pushing someone into a character role for no real good reason. And even the first book, I mean, he doesn't seem this hell-bent on not going to war. It just kind of spirals for no reason.
Yeah. That's a tough one, man. It's very tough to categorize Jason. He's just conflicted. He's a teenager, you know, and I don't know. I will say this just from a writing standpoint. From a writing standpoint, the writing of some of these characters does make a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
Like they had a plan and they stuck to it. I can respect that.
Yeah. Yeah, I can, to an extent. It's ironic how he turns out after having this kind of mindset, though. Quite ironic.
A lot of conflict. So anyway, Jason is captured. Jaina is forced to leave her twin behind. And effectively, that's where we're at there now.
And at this point, she was the one that actually blamed Jason for abandoning Anakin. Which isn't, I feel, necessarily warranted. It's kind of clear at that point there wasn't much of a choice, although the three of them together realistically probably could have fought off the Yuuzhan Vong.
Probably.
Based on, how they were doing and if Anakin would have been able to do their little force link.
Yeah.
I think they probably could have handled the situation. So hard to say if it was an intentional thing, leaving behind maybe a little inkling towards the dark side already pulling up inside him. Hard to say. But we do get some very angry Yuuzhan Vong kills from Jaina in the process, using Force Lightning to basically blow up one of the Yuuzhan Vong.
Yeah, and this is where Jaina, she touches the dark side here, attempting to go effectively rescue Anakin's body. And yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say loses control. She just gives in to her anger. And yeah, Force lightnings, Musen Vong definitely is not unhappy about killing these things.
Yeah.
Also, just real quick, there were a couple times where we talked about like Force taking amph staffs and like using the Force against the Yuuzhan Vong, which I think is funny because we've continually said all the Yuuzhan Vong are they're not on the Force. You can't see them, but
starting to blur the lines there.
I'm fine with it, dude.
Yeah,
I'm
me too.
Totally okay.
At what point does everyone just kind of learn to deal with it? I mean, Luke did on like the third book.
Very true.
In a pretty spectacular way. So,
well, Anakin learned as well when he connected with the crystal, Lamech crystal. Yep. He sees them in the Force, just in a different way. So, all right, let's go to the climactic ending on Coruscant. Hey, remember Vicky Shesh?
This isn't even in the abridged portion.
And that's the funny thing. Annoying. So, yeah, if you guys do get the Audible book, you are going to miss a really important thing at the end. And we've never had this issue. Most of the abridged versions have been pretty good. This is a glaring oversight and a pretty bad cut. You could have added easily another 15 minutes and just would have gotten this. It would have been totally fine. So I'm personally not crazy happy about that, but...
Yeah, and it's odd because typically we do get 4 chapters in the abridged books, but it's usually 3.5 hours, and this would have perfectly rounded that up to the typical time frame. Because like I said, it's about a 3-hour book. It's a little shorter than usual. I don't understand why they did this.
Yeah, and there are parts of this that were in there, like Leia feeling Anakin's passing through the Force. But at this point, the Yuuzhan Vong are invading Coruscant.
Yep.
Coruscant does fall to the Yuuzhan Vong, but we get a little bit here with old Vicky, who was our traitor.
Trying to steal a baby.
Yeah, trying to baby nap old Ben Skywalker, not Solo, for the War Master. And that's, thwarted by Leia. But Vicky does escape. Luke and Mara get shot down during the battle, but are saved. And probably one of the more cool things here. Hey, remember old Borsk? The Bothan chief of state?
The Fails?
Yeah, he actually does something kind of cool.
Yeah, sacrifices himself, Anakin style.
Pretty hardcore. Kills... quite a number. It says here 25,000 Yuuzhan Vong.
Yeah. It's thought that Southern Law was actually amongst them. Of course, we find out that
that's what he thinks. Yeah,
he was privy to this and stayed back.
Yep,
from the invasion.
But Borsk goes out in his blaze of glory, which credit to him. We haven't been too happy with him throughout the book series, but he does attempt to do what he thinks is the right thing, but Coruscant falls. This actually leads to some interesting stuff later on when Coruscant's retaken, which we'll maybe talk about down the road. There's actually some vivid memories of reading some of the books when they finally go back to Coruscant, because they get into things that should have never been gotten into, but we'll get to that later. Anyway... The Solos, the Skywalkers, and their friends escape, and, Capital's lost, and we're kind of on the ropes a bit. And the Yuuzhan Vong really seemed like they were on the ropes, but they executed this plan, and there you go.
Kind of funny how we were just talking about how they don't seem as OP, and then this happens halfway through the book where they make them seem more easily defeated.
Correct. Very true. So there we go, star by star. What else we got to talk about? What was your favorite part of this book?
Favorite part, even though it's a very sad part, is getting to see Anakin fight as a true being in the Force. You know, seeing his potential. It's very bittersweet to see him basically rise to the potential of his namesake. Kind of get a glimpse into what Anakin could have done if he had not turned to the dark side.
Yep.
Skywalker blood. It's always strong.
Blood. Yes, blood. All that glorious Skywalker blood.
Although, I know I'm a little bit more okay with kind of the more visceral stuff in some books and media, but it does get a little gruesome when they kind of mention his body in this book. I wasn't really a fan of that part, personally. I don't know. But other than that, I thought that was a very good part of this book. Is a cool end to Anakin as a character.
Yeah, decent send-off, although gruesome. Mm-hmm. What do you think, man? Ratings?
Ratings out of 5?
Out of 5 whole stars.
Been pretty good at keeping up with actual book reviews for it, even though I'm totally not looking up average reviews beforehand at all. No, I actually haven't. But this is one of my favorite books in the series. It's probably... I can't think of the name of it, but there might be one book that I like more than this one. But this is definitely up there in my list, so I'm going to score accordingly. It's very, very short story. Obviously, it's abridged, but still, even for that, it's a very bite-sized story, although pretty well done. I enjoyed the writing. Didn't have any issues with that at all. So, yeah, I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. So the average rating on Goodreads right now is 3.96.
I wonder why.
3.96. A lot of people are too long. Mm-hmm. Yeah, too long. Over 600 pages, just being long.
I wonder if that's why they cut it down so much when they abridged it.
Yeah, a couple people are complaining about there's too much action, and it's grim. It's like,
yeah,
you're okay.
You are right.
Yeah, again, book's too long. I knew where the book was heading the entire time.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, nothing really crazy here. Most people just complain that it's long. So I would say you have to, when you're in an intergalactic war, you have to have ups and downs.
Like you do.
And I thought that the book was written pretty well. It's not my favorite book in the series. I'm pretty sure, because I haven't really read these recently. So as we go through these, it's almost like almost a new reading in a way. Mm-hmm. I remember Dark Journey being one of my favorites, which I think is our next one. But I didn't think it was bad. It is a longer book for sure, and it is pretty action packed. But I don't really think that that's a bad thing. Mm-hmm. I think you got some pretty epic stuff in here. You stepped away from your main characters and you got more into the kids, who are of course also main characters. But it's just funny to see people complaining about like overwriting, like, oh, I don't want detail. What is this, a Lord of the Rings book? And people
Someone really said that.
No, I'm just making that up. But somebody did say it was, overwritten. It's just kind of funny. It's like people want table reads, like light books and stuff. It's like,
that's not what these books are.
Oh my God. There's somebody who left us a 3-star review, and I'm going to read this too. Okay, I really didn't read it, but read the summary on different sites along with reviews, and it sounded like it was pretty good. It was supposed to be at the library, but someone lost the book, and I'm not buying it to read. You absolute jerk off. Like, you should never... It's like, that's somebody who just wanted to get their Goodreads score up, jerk. He doesn't even have a profile picture. Get out of here, man. What a dummy. That's mean. That's really mean, and I should cut that out, but I'm not going to. But it does sound a lot like shaming, but it is pretty dumb. Oh my God, this is hilarious. I wish I could probably share a screen, but I'm not going to. There's a meme of Troy Denning, and it's just, he's pointing up, laughing. He's like, laughs in dead solo. Oh, the salty tears of dead solos. Anyway, but on to rating. Like, I enjoyed the book. I thought it was good. It's a great overall read. It is long. It's just longer. It's longer, but I like long things. Don't you just pause and don't overthink that one. But I'm not going to go as high as you are. I don't necessarily think it's 4 or 5 territory, but I was thinking more in the realm of like a 4.3. So relatively close, above a 4. 4.3 is what I'm going to put it at. Good book, and really gets into the back half of the story and really starts to pick up from here. So this is really the starting line for me for New Jedi Order.
Yep. Absolutely. Very good book.
All right. Well, I think we're ratcheting down here, so anything else we need to chat about? Anything more about the book or any other stuff? Did you watch any of those watch videos as we were supposed to be talking about this?
No, I didn't. You totally won't hear that in the background of the recording.
Why would you put diamonds on a Patek Philippe? You know? Anyway, so, okay. Well, then there we go. Next week, we are going to be rolling into, I think it's issues 2 and 3 of
Kenobi
the Obi-Wan
comics.
Kenobi comic. I actually went down to the comic book store to pick up like 4 weeks of comics this past, Saturday, Sunday. So Obi-Wan comes out next week, issue 3, I think. Issue 2 is already out, so we'll talk a little bit about that. And then, boy, we're riding right into our countdown to Andor. What did we say? Was it Rogue One after that, or let me pull up my list. No, the Cassian and K2SO comic, Rogue One, and then Andor. So we're not very far away. Not very far away.
About a month to go.
There we go. So hopefully you enjoy it, the ride as it comes along, and you enjoyed the book. If you, I don't know, like to chat with us, give us your thoughts on what we're doing or the books or anything coming up, or give us suggestions for future stuff coming up. Find us on the social medias at TC Plan Podcast, Twitter, Facebook, or just send us an email to tcplanpodcast@gmail.com. Love to hear from you. But that is all. So y'all have a great rest of your week.
And as always, may the Force be with you.